How is anyone surprised by this? Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee is not compatible with the upcoming Cloud Save Backup feature on the Nintendo Switch online subscription. You know what? We might be getting just a little ahead of ourselves, so what are we even talking about? What's going on right here? Well, as you may or may not know, you have to pay for the online service for Nintendo Switch starting actually later this month. But one of the huge things that came with this announcement was Save Data Cloud Backup. Because it is illegal. You are not allowed, as a part of the terms of service of the games that you download. It's on the one of the first pages, is one of the first things you are told about the game. You are not allowed to back up your own save data, and that leads to a lot of piracy and modding issues and a lot of debate and discussion in the community as to what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. But as far as Nintendo's concerned, you cannot make any unauthorized backups of any games that you own. Even your save files, if you lose it, it's gone, sucks, and they even have warnings about that in the user manuals as well. So this is huge, this is massive. A lot of people were finally like, hey, Nintendo's doing something for us. You know, this actually feels like a really nice consumer move, but I'm pretty sure it was obvious from the first second of this thing's announcement that any future Pokemon game and every future Pokemon game would not be part of this feature, but only because it's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. People are just so desperate to hate and trash these games that they suddenly come off as surprised, like this is actually news, that you're not allowed to back up your save file, even though it's literally as simple as this. You trade your Pokemon to a friend, you back up your save file. You have now duplicated a Pokemon. Same for Pokebank, whatever you end up doing, if a Pokemon leaves and you can bring it back through saves, then it shouldn't be allowed, and there's no way of tracking that, and somehow people are surprised. I'm out on buying Switch for Pokemon. The lack of save protection makes me hard pass on all future Pokemon games. What about all the other Pokemon games up to this point? Because there wasn't any save protection, and that was fair, and that's how you have to just kind of follow Nintendo's terms of service, and that's the same for all of these games. You know, Pokemon has never offered save backups before, because this thing is Pokemon Bank, and I'm sure that will come. Problem is, if your Switch breaks, you lose all your files for Pokemon, because they are refusing to allow cloud saves, since Switch does not save to the game cartridge, and you can't play on a different Switch. But this is how the save files work, and I didn't have a problem with that. I understood from the beginning that that's how Pokemon is and will always be, and I don't like make backups of my save files on the 3DS to maybe use like some kind of program to bring everything back if something goes wrong. They have Pokemon Bank. You know, you just keep your Pokemon there, and then you're good to go if something catastrophic happens. Sure, you lose all your game progress and stuff inside of that, but Pokemon are kind of the most important part of it. And then people are still like upset. Thank God there's homebrew. So, hacking, you know, what the heck at Nintendo of America, what are you doing? How are you surprised? You know, I thought this would be a given. Hey, finally some reasonable things. So then there's people that are, you know, thank God, good, because yes, I don't want cloning either. I don't want further hacking and save manipulation and unauthorized use of Pokemon games to create more legality problems in Pokemon. But I mean, now people like use this as an excuse to call Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee bad, even though the 2019 game is going to have it. Generation 8, Diamond Pearl remakes, every Pokemon game from here on out is not going to have save backups. Because it is an impossibility with the interactivity and the core gameplay mechanics of Pokemon. But you know what? Let's take this a little further, because somehow people are still surprised, even though if you bought a Virtual Console game, it's the exact same thing and no one was upset about it. Again, like I didn't even have to think about it. I didn't even have to know about it. I didn't have to put any process. I just knew that save states would not be a thing, because you can actually have restore points in Virtual Console games on the 3DS. I think one of the first thing that happens is when you download Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Yellow, any of those games, they say this game does not have restore points. And then you should be able to take that logic and then immediately apply it to anything else. Like any other Pokemon game, even on Nintendo Switch. So what we can do is we can kind of scroll through, and they make it clear. Data not saved using in-game save option, page 9, will be lost. You can only have one save file. Data can be lost due to user actions such as repeatedly power off. Save data cannot be used. You won't be able to progress opening screen, blah, blah, blah. This game cannot make use of suspend points and restore points. So they make that clear. They go through all that. I'm wondering how many people have actually like realized you can access the manual of the games that you have on the 3DS. That's kind of the point. And also, it even strengthens the anti-hacking argument. Like, people are like, well, I own the game, and the terms of service don't matter. It's like, well, that's false. And there's the manual right here. So we have Pokemon Moon version. Instruction manual. It either comes with the game, or it comes with your download, or you can find it online, or you can find it about your 3DS. You can find about all the hardware and consoles and stuff that you use. And if we go to important information, so, at the top, important information. One of the first things you see, international intellectual property laws. Backup or archival copies are not authorized. That is true of every Nintendo game right now, and that's why they have the online clouds online cloud thing. And even then, it's like, yes, there are going to be games that cannot use this feature because it imbalances the online multiplayer aspects of the games, and that's just a fact of what happens sometimes. Nintendo respects the intellectual property of others. We ask 3DS software providers do the same in accordance with the Digital Millennium Act. So, they're doing this within their copyright laws and what they hold and stuff like that. That's why you can't modify your 3DS. That's why you can't do unauthorized save modification, backup, and all that other stuff. You paid for the game, but you didn't pay to do whatever you want with the game, and that's under all these copyright laws and stuff like this. And it's in your DS right now, or it's in the book that came with the game. Actually, I didn't check. Yeah, you can even do a manual of a hard copy. I didn't know if it was download only, but yeah. So even then, like in your 3DS, there's no excuse. You get a used copy, find the instruction manual hard-coded into your cartridge, and it's all the same information about what you can do, what you can't do, the vulnerabilities, and whatnot. And it says that quite a lot about like the Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, or any virtual console game. It's like, yeah, don't use the intended save feature, bad things can happen, and saving and erasing data. This is also another one that's pretty interesting. 1 second, let me find it, because there's another aspect of this that's like, yes, there's still problems that can happen, and it's actually made aware inside the terms of service. Data can be lost to user action. So it's not even like, it's something that you're completely unaware of, that, you mess it up and then the game gets bunked and then you're not allowed to make a backup, so Nintendo sucks. But I mean, data can be lost to user action, such as repeatedly powering on and off the system, removing game card, SD card while saving. Data loss may also be caused by poor connectivity due to dirt, dust, system ports. Be aware in these cases, data cannot be restored. And it's like, yes, that sucks, but that's reality. You aren't entitled to do anything with Nintendo software or Nintendo hardware just because you purchased it. That you purchase a service. You purchase the usage and allowance of this game, of this service, of this hardware, and stuff like that. That's kind of true for pretty much anything. And it's the same for the other games as well. So if we go into the Virtual Console, let's spice things up and take this from the silver version one. Effectively the same thing. Data can be lost, user action, blah, blah, blah. They cannot be restored. This is just reality. Sometimes things suck and happen that way. That doesn't give you the right to hack. That doesn't give you the right to modify. It's just unlucky and unfortunate. But then there's also things that says, try not to repeatedly power on and off your game or tamper with things or do anything like that. It's a very small, incredibly small minority of people that end up having this happen. You can also prevent it by doing a lot of other things that are just like not mistreating your console, your SD card, and stuff like that. But then that just kind of goes to the rest of the argument that we're dealing with right here. How are people surprised? Fake outrage. Whoever's covering this as news, or whoever's trying to use this to push something negative about Pokemon on the Switch, Game Freak, Nintendo, they're only doing it to play up to the hype. They're only doing it to use negativity for views, and it just shows that they're, a dishonest person that really isn't a fan of what they claim to be representing, because this is obvious. This isn't anti-consumer. This is Nintendo doing things that have been the same and anticipated, and it's also pro-consumer because otherwise it imbalances the game state, it disadvantages other players, and that just creates a hectic mess of being able to manipulate your saves through an official source, and that's even worse. So that's why we see the mix right here. But I mean, could be avoided easily with unique IDs related to online trade Pokemons. Pokemon already have unique identifiers, and unfortunately those don't get the usage that we would expect because I think it's only 5 or 6 digits. So technically, there's still like a 1 in 99,000 or 1 in 999,000 chance that Pokemon is not a clone and not representative. And I don't know how long they'll take that string out and stuff. But I mean, we already have identifiers in Pokemon. They don't get used as we expected. So that means if there was save backups allowed, it would still be the same thing. Also, how do you punish that? Because what, you know, people don't read the manual. Maybe Nintendo stuff is aware of this, unless they make it like loud and clear. It's like, if you manipulate save data backup with this Pokemon game by trying to duplicate Pokemon, you will be banned from the service. But I mean, that's just going to make people upset. It's like, oh, now I can't use the service to do what I want, or you accidentally duplicate a Pokemon. You know, you save, or you trade a Pokemon to a friend, your game happens to get corrupted right there, you try to back it up, and then Nintendo just bricks your like system, or bricks your Wi-Fi, or like punishes you in some way and makes it to where your game is unusable, or that save is irretrievable because they think you're duping, but you just did it as intended, and you unfortunately had to do a save point at a point that would look like duping. There's a lot of issues that could happen both ways. Why are we surprised? I hate what Pokemon has become with this community. And yeah, what happened to just enjoying Pokemon and enjoying Nintendo and not cheating the game? Just doesn't exist anymore. That's super sad. Hate it.